that we are heading to Costa Rica. I can't wait. We have María Villada Rosales joining us today. She is the Toucan Rescue Ranch's veterinarian supervisor and helps oversee the animal care department. She's worked at zoological collections in Mexico and rescue centers in Australia, mainly working with wildlife since graduating from university. So at the Toucan Rescue Ranch, María oversees the clinic and overall treatments of injured animals. She also manages the caretaking of the sloths and their advancements within the Saving Sloths Together program. So I'm going to bring her in live with us right now. María, how are you doing this evening?
Hello, how are you? Good. It's a little bit late already, dark over here.
That's okay. It's dark up here in Canada as well. It is so great to see you. We, speaking of exploring by the seat of your pants, we love our monthly visits to the Toucan Rescue Ranch to see all the amazing wildlife that's being rehabilitated, the incredible work that you and the team are doing. So it is so great to have you joining us live for this festival this weekend.
Yeah, well, Andrea is usually the one that is working with you on those days. She's amazing, an amazing tour guide and talking about animals all the time. It's very fun. I'm going to have to talk about something a little bit different this time.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to let you take over and then we'll have a few questions.
Sure. All right. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Just 1 second. Okay, I'm sharing right now. I'm going to go open up. I think that's it. It does work, right?
It looks good. Yep.
All right, so I'm going to talk about a little bit of the road I have done to become a wildlife veterinarian to all the young viewers over there that want to follow that path. I'm going to talk about a little bit of how to get into conservation medicine, which is a very interesting path that wildlife veterinarians can follow. So as Joe already said, my name is María Villada Rosales. I'm the veterinarian supervisor of Toucan Rescue Ranch. Over here, I'm going to be talking about my experience, about the Toucan Rescue Ranch, what we do, all the medical works that we do, the rehabilitation, the rewilding. I'm going to talk about also how to start your career in conservation. A little bit of women in conservation. I know that you're already having tons of amazing people talking about conservation and scientists, and a lot of inspiring women that is going to be talking about all of it for these 3 days, and how to begin your career. I'm going to give a little bit of some of the resources that you can find online for all the young people that are starting to work on conservation. And without further ado, I will start. Well, I started studying at Universidad de Guadalajara in Mexico. Is one of the major studies houses, universities in Mexico. I studied veterinary medicine over there. I focused my career, all of it, in wildlife because since I was a little kid and my parents would not let me lie, I always wanted to work with animals. And then when I was working as a veterinary student, I decided that wildlife was the most interesting part I could find out. So while I was studying, I started volunteering on Zoological de Guadalajara, which is one of the biggest zoo facilities in Mexico. One of the few that had pandas over there. It was a very, very interesting experience. Is where I started learning everything I could about all the conservation programs that Mexico has going on. And as continue on my career, I went on to do my professional practices or my field placement in Xcaret, Mexico. That is one of the most amazing reproduction programs of macaws and parrots that you have in Mexico. From there, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, so I decided to go and do a wildlife management diploma at Universidad de Chiapas. And Chiapas is one of the most mega diverse places in Mexico. You will find amazing jungles, and we have almost all the tropical fauna that you will find in all Latin America. So over there, I started studying, and with the help of many amazing professors and friends, I started learning more and more about how to work with wildlife. I focus more on deers in this area. I learned a little bit about jaguars and camera trapping. All of that was super interesting, and it helped me a lot to grow on my personal career and on the way I could see and go through through the veterinary medicine and the different ways of focus veterinary medicine. It was not only about healing animals, it was also about management and making sure that the deers were healthy and the environment the deers were around were healthy. I think that was my first experience with conservation medicine. It was super, super interesting. And we had also a lot to do with the community. The community will have the deers, will take care of the deers, will hunt the deers, but at the same time will take care of the deers. So that was something that really, really enriched me. And when I finished over there, I went and worked in Expuja in a private zoo collection called Animal Kingdom. It was a small place. It was a private collection. We did have tourists coming in. And that was when I started learning mostly about preventive medicine. It was mainly about taking care of the animals, making sure they were healthy, a little bit of reproduction, all of what the major zoos have on a very small scale, but also very, very interesting. I stayed there for 4 years. Well, I graduated in 2011. So I stayed there for 4 years. And when I started getting more and more curious about what will happen in conservation, at the same time, we started receiving animals from Profepa. Profepa is the organization in Mexico that rescues wildlife. And the thing is, Mexico right now doesn't have a lot of rehabilitation centers. Most of them, the few of them that exist, they work directly with the government. So we were one of the few places in Playa del Carmen that could receive animals that were injured. And that's where I started getting interested on rehabilitation. That was my first view of rehabilitation. And it was difficult because most of the animals that we would receive, we knew we couldn't release them back into the wild. So I started having that tiny curiosity aspect that what would happen if we actually had a release program at the zoo. We were too small to create one, but that's where that tiny idea started, or tiny seed started to be inside of me. So when I decided I wanted to learn more, that's when I started investigating other women in conservation. I heard about Larry Merker, and she has one of my favorite things she has said, that the prosperity of the animals is hand by hand with the prosperity of humans. You cannot think of healing a species without healing humans first. And then well, some of the other people you will see around over here, I started learning about all of those amazing women in conservation. And I was like, what if I could do something similar? How can I get into that path? How can I go into conservation? Right now, I'm a veterinarian, but I work in a zoological facility. I know preventive medicine. I know emergency with wildlife, but how can I learn more? And that's when I decided to study conservation medicine. And that's when I went to do POST-GRAD. I did my master's in Murdoch University. And over there, they offered me to do 2 different field placements. I did my first one in Tolgabat Hospital, which is an amazing place in Australia, in Queensland, specifically in Atherton. It's managed by this amazing lady that rescues spectacled flying foxes. All of them, they're orphan, most of them. She also rehabilitates adults, and she's always fighting with viruses and with the tick disease that makes them lose the mobility of their bodies. And she's always trying to reintroduce them all into the wild, back into the wild. She has an amazing project where she sometimes gets 400 babies at a time, raises them, trains them, and then puts them back into the wild and introduces them into the already living packs that are there in the wild, which is pretty amazing, and help them create, like, work over there in the release program, create a little bit of a protocol for emergencies. They mostly work with veterinarians in the community. I think I was the first veterinarian to actually did a volunteer or a field placement with them, but it was an amazing experience. I always loved flying foxes. And after that, I went to Perth Zoo, and that's when I learned about all the amazing projects that bigger places have. Perth Zoo has a bajillion different conservation projects. It works with orangutans. It works with local Australian animals from Perth, specifically from Perth, that are completely and super endangered. I learned what having an amazing facility is. The surgeries were huge. I never had the capacity to have so many equipment. So it was a really, really good experience. And when I was working to my academic chair, they asked me what I wanted to do. And I wasn't sure, because there are so many conservation projects out there, but I wasn't really involved in any of them besides the Australian ones, but I was coming back to Latin America. So I didn't know exactly what to do. So I decided to focus on rehabilitation. And that's when I applied for a rehabilitation position in Toucan Rescue Ranch, which is basically where I'm at right now. And in the internship, I didn't arrive as a veterinarian. I arrived as a sloth rehab, but they found out I had experience, I have the knowledge, so I started working more and more as the veterinarian over here. Janet Sandy, who is basically my boss right now, she was the one that will oversee everything I was doing. And when I finished my internship, I came back to Mexico, but then they contacted me again and offered me a position as a veterinarian in 2018. So I came back to Costa Rica. I started working as a veterinarian. I started being just like a traveling veterinarian. I will be at the headquarters and at the release site, and I will be back and forth between the two places. Then we started receiving more and more cases. It's almost as if the moment I started being the veterinarian, they decided like, oh, we can take all the animals over there. And we had like 10 cases in a day or 3 emergencies every morning. So jobs started getting very, very crazy. And that's when I became the veterinarian supervisor. And now I have under me interns that are students of veterinary medicine, graduates. I have rehabilitators that they want to learn how to do rehabilitation, or they work on a zoo the same way I did, and they're curious about rehabilitation, and they come to the Toucan Rescue Ranch to learn. So it has been a learning curve. It has been really, really interesting, and now I'm fully and completely in love with the Senarta family in Costa Rica, which is tamanduas, armadillos, and sloths, which I've been working most closely with. But in Costa Rica, I have worked with toucans, I have worked with coatis, raccoons, raptors, owls, hawks, basically even tapirs, which I never thought I would be able to work with. Every animal that you can imagine in Costa Rica, at least I have worked with them over here in Toucan Rescue Ranch. So let's talk about Toucan Rescue Ranch just a little bit. Toucan Rescue Ranch is a rehabilitation and rescue place in Costa Rica that works with wildlife. We focus on conservation, education, and research. We want to bring a brighter future to wildlife. And here we started working as a small place for toucans because almost no one working with toucans in Costa Rica. But slowly we started growing and we started receiving sloths and owls and every other animal that you can imagine. So our program started growing potentially. And you will talk to Leslie on Sunday that is going to be over here too. So she can give you a full scope of what Toucan Rescue Ranch is. But yeah, eventually Toucan Rescue Ranch became so big that right now we are one of the bigger rescue centers over here. We receive a bajillion of animals, and I'm very proud to say that we are working hand in hand with other rescue centers and sanctuaries. Because every now and then we will receive animals, we do the triage, and we send them over there, which is, as Sylvia Earle was saying right now when I was listening to her, it's very important to reach to other people and to reach to other places and create a community. It takes a village. So about Toucan Rescue Ranch, we have released and rewilded programs, is the getting animals back into the wild. We have an amazing program for raptors. We have created a whole protocol of how to train the raptors back into the wild. And we receive raptors that have been electrocuted, that have crashed into windows, crashed into cars, they have been attacked by other animals, or they come as babies, baby owls. We have a lot of baby owls coming into our care. So we train them, we teach them how to hunt, we have camera traps in our pre-release enclosures. We check how they're hunting, we check what they're doing, we check how they're flying, because as Leslie says all the time, the raptors need to fly as well as they were like a very amazing fast plane. So we check on all of that. Once the owls are ready, we rewild them back into the wild. And we used to have a very successful program for songbirds. We used to work with Costa Rican ornithologists to check where they come from, what area they are, because between the songs and the feathers, there are different places they can go through. And we will train them, and then we will send them back into the wild. And the bad thing about Costa Rica is that the songbird illegal pet rate is massive. And it's millions of dollars that you can spend on one bird just because it makes a different song from other. And we have been very good at releasing them. And that's something we have focused on. It can be very stressful because at one time we receive 100 songbirds and you cannot put the males together, so it becomes a little bit difficult. And of course, we have the Saving Sloths Together program, which is our biggest program we have and one of the proudest we are of. In this program, we work with the Sloth Institute to create the program to what it is now, and now we have finally created to our image and to what we want it to be. So we train the sloths. We receive a bajillion baby sloths, and we hand raise them, and then we put them back into the wild. And by teaching them what to eat, how to forage, where to sleep, how to interact with other sloths, which is something that is sometimes very difficult to teach. And it has been very, very special for us because we can receive about many of these babies. And a few years ago, most of the people would tell you that you cannot release sloths that have been hand raised by humans back into the wild. But we have proved them wrong. We have even released animals that have been amputated because they're victim of electrocutions or attacked by dogs, or they have very severe fractures that couldn't be helped. And these sloths are amazing machines of survival. They go back into the wall, they behave as they're not missing a limb. And we have been testing them and following them around for years. And they even have babies. They're thriving, which is really, really amazing. So I can say that the programs on Toucan Rescue Ranch for rewilding are what I'm most proud of, because after working in rehabilitation, receiving so many animals that are in such a bad shape, and making them go all the way up to the point where they're healthy and they can go back into the wild, and you see them years later thriving or with babies or just gaining weight, very healthy, then that's where we are here for. We also have our medical program, which has been built up from the ground with Janet, Sarah, and me. We have clinical internships, which I offer to everyone. You can come, follow us around. It's going to be 6 months of working with me or with the release side, and you learn about everything. You can learn about wildlife, rehabilitation, medicine. It's really, really impressive. And the fun thing about Toucan Rescue Ranch is that we work with other veterinarians. We call in ophthalmologists, physiotherapists, orthopedists, and they help us help the animals to get to what they need to be so they can go back into the wild. We have innovative treatments, which I will talk about in a few more minutes. And our program is focused on trauma and electrocution. And I can say that we're still on February. We just started the year, and we already had 2 cases a day of electrocution, 2 cases a day of electrocution, which is a huge quantity. We have received at least 10 sloths this year that have been electrocuted on power lines. And sadly, we have become really good at treating electrocutions on sloths. And about trauma, we have received at least 8 cases a day. And this is all kinds of animals, birds, raccoons. We have a really sad story of a raccoon in the clinic, sloths, all of the things you can imagine that could be traumatic for an animal, that going from run over by a car to crashing into a window. All of that is something that we oversee. Sadly, most of the animals don't make it. Is the sad part about rehabilitation. You receive animals that are so bad that you try to do your best and still don't make it. Something to think about if you will start working with us. But going to the fun part, we have a very good education program. We have wildlife workshops. We have community outreach, volunteering, ecotourism. We have professional internships that if you're not a vet but you want to learn, you can come as an animal husbandry, a rehabilitation, or you can go to the release side where you can learn how to track animals and how to prepare them for the wild, which is something we are very, very proud of. All the education programs we have created. Our internship has grown exponentially. It was before 2 or 3 people that we were here starting by ourselves, and now we have a bajillion people coming. We even have marketing interns that come here to learn of how to market conservation, which is a completely new job description that you can find over there. And it's pretty amazing. I can also say that the rehabilitators that have been here, they go back to the States or to other places, and they can put what they learn over here into practice. So if you ever want to do an internship, you can always come over here, do an internship, at least visit. You can learn everything that we do with wildlife, which is pretty amazing. Now, going back into the clinical part of the Toucan Rescue Ranch, we receive animals of any kind. So we need to do a health check. We do go over quarantine. Quarantine is right now like pretty short, but we're looking forward to creating a bigger quarantine for us. We evaluate what is going on with the animals. We do the treatments. We call in every professional that we need. As I said, we might not know everything, so we call other professionals on Costa Rica to help us do everything. So once we have treated the injuries, we have bring the animals back into health. That's when we do the rehabilitation program. It's according to their needs. And every now and then we will receive monkeys or animals that we're not really familiar with. Then that's when we work with other rescue centers to give them a better chance at going back into the wild. And well, going into my favorite part, we have been working with other veterinarians and other places, and we have created amazing innovative procedures. One of the most amazing ones is working with Priscilla Ortiz. She gave us tilapia, treated tilapia that has a little bit of mother cells, and we put it directly into the injuries for electrocution burns, and the recovery is amazing. We have seen animals without a face or missing extensive parts of their body because of the electrocution. And with the tilapia skin, we have improved so much. And instead of taking 6 months to heal, they're taking 3 months to heal. And now, thanks to BioHuman, I will read the whole name completely, the Human Bioscience, which make us a huge donation of collagen, we can make a combination between collagen and tilapia skin to help treat the animals. For example, you have a very severe burn in one hand, and you put the tilapia skin, and then you combine it with collagen, and improving is amazing. And then, well, we'll go a little bit faster because I was taking my time, sorry. And then we have the rehabilitation process. As I said, it's we have owls, we have sloths, and every other animal in the world. And this is Oatmeal. This is my favorite sloth in the world. She came with 80% of her body completely burned. He almost lost her arm, but we managed to bring her back. But we did a rehabilitation program for her, which took forever, but it was perfect because we will slowly push her a little bit harder and a little bit harder, and then on the tree, and then a little bit further until she learned how to be back. So yeah, our rehabilitation programs, I can say with proudly that they have worked, and we have amazing success stories. So now, into all those people that are very interested in going into working with animals, with wildlife, there are a bajillion options you can have. There's wildlife conservation, there's ecology, there's biodiversity, there's conservation medicine, which is where I worked at. There's wildlife ecology and management. So my recommendation for you guys is to study a lot, never finish study. I graduated in 2011, as I said, and I'm still studying. I went on to my master's, and when I came back, I'm still studying. There's always so much new stuff that you need to learn. And as I was saying, networking is super, super important. You may not know everything, but you will have friends that know, and they will have your back, and they will teach you, and they will come and help whenever something different needs to be done. But also get focus experience. If you want to work with wildlife, it's better if you focus in an area or you focus in a species. If you go into a conservation effort, you say, oh, I work with elephants, but I work with wolves and I work with whales. They're going to be, well, yeah, but what's your experience? What is your focus? So it's really, really important to find a place or a species or just like an environment. If you want to work with tropical animals, marine mammals, or something like that, to focus mostly on that, because that will give you a better experience and a better idea and a lot of more knowledge that you can focus on that and will be useful for the people working over there. So in my case, I studied conservation medicine, but the important part and the fun part about conservation is that it has to do with humans, ecosystem, and the wildlife. As I read before, when I got interested in conservation, you cannot focus on wildlife and having the animals healthy if you cannot also help the humans. But at the same time, you cannot release the animals back into the wild if the ecosystem is sick. So at the end of the day, conservation medicine also, it has a lot of people from different disciplines working over. You will be working with biologists, you are going to be working with ecologists. So even if you study something that is not veterinary medicine, you can end up doing conservation medicine. But the important part is that you will have to learn how to work with other how do I say, with other professionals, and always try to find friends over there. And if you're a girl, it's super, super important to create a network. It's very, very important because we are only a few women in conservation. It's only maybe 20. When I started studying, all my peers were males. When I started working at the zoo, all my coworkers were males. This is the first time I can say I have an all girls team, which is pretty amazing, and it's really fun to work with other women because you have like a sorority, and when you reach out to them, they're willing to help you, and they're like, yeah, I know someone that can be of help. And I have also seen that conservation by women has been based on the community, and the community is incredibly important for conservation. If you don't have a community backing up a conservation effort, the conservation effort probably won't work. And it's something that I can say for sure that I've seen my peers do a lot of community effort and create an amazing conservation program, or just here, create a rescue center, involve the community, and then the community will want to bring the animals, help you transport the animals, will give a heads up when something is happening. So it's really, really important for us women to reach to other women, to have their bags, and to bring them back and raise them up into the conservation efforts. So if you guys are starting a career in conservation, I will always tell you, volunteer where you're studying, study a lot, show your passion. If people see you're passionate about something, they will be far more willing to have you in as part of the team. You will get a lot of experience, get as many experience as you can, and always do internships. Internships, sometimes people think that they're a drag, you don't get paid in many of them, but it's really important because during the internships is when you network. When I did all my field placement and professional practices, I network with people that at the end of the day end up helping me or offering me a job. So it's really, really important to always network, know the people you're working with, try to talk to other people. If there are events that the place you're working at is doing, go to the events. It's really important. And you can choose grassroots organizations, NGOs, international organizations, or just volunteer at the local zoo. But something I have learned is that grassroots organizations, they grow at the same time you grow with them. So you create a position and then you make that position grow. And even if you leave that organization, you left something structured for the next person to come in, which is an amazing opportunity for the next person. So it's really, really important to follow all of these, get a lot of experience, study, and work a lot. So finally, there are some free resources that you guys can find online to find conservation efforts, jobs, internships. There's a lot of people out there that know someone that knows someone. So it's really important. But also, don't miss the opportunity on your universities. Talk to your professors. At least 5 of them must be working at a local place, and a grassroots organization, and an NGO, or a side job that they can bring you in. And that professor will probably end up pulling you into a conservation effort, or a research effort, or a wildlife trip, which is really, really important. Don't just because it's a smaller university or a university that doesn't focus on wildlife, don't just discard it. Your professors will be your best way to talk to the local community. And as I said, it takes a community to save an animal. So thank you very much. I think I'm almost on the time. And if you guys want to connect, there's my there's my LinkedIn, my email, my Instagram. You want to follow some of the stuff I do over here at Toucan Rescue Ranch or other places. And good luck to everyone out there that wants to study a career in conservation, and all the young veterinarians. I hope I see you over here in an internship, or at least on a conference or something. I'm very excited to meet all the young minds that are coming over. And I will stop this.
All right. Well, Ana Maria, thank you so much for that great presentation. Not only for taking us on your story, what led you into conservation, but then also all that great advice for young conservationists who are just starting to think about where the career is going to take them and what they can do with a career in conservation. You're truly an inspiration. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
who were with us today. So we're going to squeeze in a couple questions here. One, you answered already. Charlie was wondering about internships and volunteering at the Toucan Rescue Ranch, and I think you did a great job covering that. The only thing I might add is that you guys are always accepting volunteers if people are just coming to be in Costa Rica for a little while, right? To work with animals, education, that kind of thing.
Yeah, our volunteering is for 20 days minimum, but yeah, our doors are always open. We need help. We always need help. We have a bajillion animals that need to be rehabilitated.
All right. Well, Stephanie is wondering, is there any businesses or NGOs local who are trying to do something to make power lines safer?
Oh, there is. We're now working with SPH, which is the company that works with electricity in the specific area of Heredia where the Toucan Rescue Ranch is. And every so often we have meetings to find a way to make the power lines, to protect the power lines so the animals don't get electrocuted. And they bring the testing devices, and we test it with our animals, and then we try them on. They're very, very active, and it's very amazing that they're trying so hard to improve that. So ISA is another one that has been working with that, and they're also creating bridges for animals, so they stop using the power lines to cross from one patch of the forest to the other. So yeah, there are some efforts. We still need more, but at least we're starting to get there.
All right, excellent. Well, I'm glad you mentioned those bridges. Tomorrow, we're connecting with OSA Conservation, and we're going to be up in the tree canopy where they're checking on a bridge and some camera traps. So that should be a lot of fun. One more question here. This is from Andrea, and Andrea is wondering, she's joining us from Mexico, and she is wondering, where do you see the future for forest and wildlife in Costa Rica?
Well, I see a very bright future, by the way. ¿Qué onda? I see a great future over there. Costa Rica it lacks the money, but it has the effort. Costa Rica has been creating a lot of green programs and is doing their best to improve the relationship with the animals and humans. And I have seen a shift in the people. The people have become more and more involved in rescuing the animals, bringing them into a rescue center. And we are slowly seeing more and more locals coming to the Toucan Rescue Ranch to learn about the programs and to learn about the animals. So I want to be hopeful and say that we have a bright future over here.
All right, excellent. I want to pop up a link here for anyone who hasn't visited the Toucan Rescue Ranch website before. It's a great website, great programs. If you're in the area, of course, go and visit and support the incredible work that they're doing. And of course, if you can, make a donation to the amazing work that the Toucan Rescue Ranch is doing every single day for native wildlife in Costa Rica. Anna, please say hi to everybody, the whole team. We can't wait to see Leslie on Sunday. And thank you so much for such a great presentation this evening.
Thank you for having us. And yeah, I'll see you guys again on Sunday.
All right. Awesome. Well, have a great night. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon. Thanks so much.